right now, go to the comment section and say a quick hello. And we're going to start interviewing Abhinav. And Abhinav, I'm sure you're going to inspire all of us with your story and what have you been doing during the lockdown, how you've been successful in your business. So looking forward to hearing more about you. All right, Sandeep.
All right.
You can shout out to people as we move on.
Yes, sure. So Abhinav, you're on mute. If you can quickly unmute. Yes. Yeah, waiting for you to unmute.
Yes.
Yes, now this is good. So Abhinav, let's quickly talk about your journey as an entrepreneur in Accurex. How did you join Accurex? I believe this organization was started by your dad, and then you took it over. So how old were you? What are the circumstances? And how long you've been at being the CEO and the MD of the company? Walk us through the journey, please.
Yes, thank you, Sandeep. It's a pleasure to be on this platform to share my experiences with a fellow entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs. So my father started this company in 1984, and at that time he was working for an American multinational, and there were no companies in India manufacturing diagnostic reagents in India. So we were the first company to start manufacturing the diagnostic reagents for biochemistry, enzymatic reagents. And he grew the business pretty well as it started as a startup, the struggles of a startup. He spent time in the factory, and sometimes they had to sleep in the factory also because there was so much work and they couldn't even afford the hotel. So that's the struggle that he had to go through, but it paid off fruits, and over a period of time he built a large brand, and today we are one of the largest companies in our segment of diagnostic reagents. Unfortunately, my father passed away at a very young age of 49 from a cardiac arrest. And that time I was studying in the US. At the age of 22, I came back to India and I had to take over the business as there was a void in the business. And that's how my journey started in the business.
Wow. And
sorry.
How
long ago was that?
Sorry?
How long ago was that?
Sorry?
How long ago?
How many years have you been?
In 2004. That's when it happened, and that's when I came.
All right, awesome.
So it's been a while.
So at 22, you took over under very, very compelling circumstances, and you kind of were pushed over by the circumstances to take over. From where you were to where you are today, what have been your learnings as somebody who had to suddenly take over the organization? What were your challenges, and how did you overcome them?
So the biggest challenge was that coming in, this was my first job. So I had done internships earlier, but it doesn't compare anything to becoming the head of an organization, becoming the CEO / managing director of a company, and without any experience at the age of 22. So it was a challenge. Definitely, I would say it was a challenge doing that. And I had people who were reporting to me whose age was much more than my age, whose age and experience was much higher than what my age was. So I felt, how am I going to add value to them? And that curiosity to learn more, to add value to them, to build respect is what drove me towards reading. And I started reading, and fortunately, the first book that I picked up was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I feel that book something that completely changed me and helped me a lot. And I would say it's the Bible of business, of personal development, personal effectiveness. And I would recommend everybody to read that book. It's one of the greatest books and one of the highest selling books in the world. So it's said that, the Quran, the Bible, and there are other religious books, which are the highest selling books. And after that, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People comes in one of the highest selling books. So the books helped me a lot. I did a lot of courses. I did all kind of courses. So I did IIM Ahmedabad short-term executive development programs. Then I did Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey came to India, and I went to attend his program. Again, amazing program. He's the author of The 7 Habits. Then Robin Sharma was a big influence in my life. I would say Robin Sharma was the one who completely changed my perspective and got me engaged, because I used to always feel that this is something I was forced to do, right? At the young age of 22, I was in college enjoying as, a carefree 22-year-old and just living a good life in the US, enjoying my life, and I had to come back. But then reading these self-help books, and especially Robin Sharma, who said that, you can make a very big difference in the lives of people through the work you do. And that really is something that triggered me. And I felt like, this is something that I have a privilege. I have a privilege to be in a business because I can create change and I can make a difference, make an impact in people's lives. And that's what then inspired me, motivated me to work and grow my business. So today, I've grown the business from 90 people when I took over to we have now 170 people in our company, and I grew the revenue about by 3.5x.
Wow.
Amazing, amazing. Nice to hear that. Super. So just to say, Abhinav, my first book was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as well. In fact, I used to read this book from Monday to Friday, prepare on Saturday and Sunday. I would take a few of my friends, make them bakras and give them free personality development sessions.
I was one of them.
This was,
It's the best way.
this was in 1997 or 8, I think. At 2000, I think. 2000.
2000, yes.
That's
I was about to say that Sanjay is also a big fan of the book. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a life-changing book for a lot of people. It's made a lot of difference in people's lives. That's for sure. Hey, Abhinav, another thing is that in this whole journey of pharma is being in the pharma industry, being in the diagnostic space is cutthroat competitive, right? It's not a very easy space to be in, and that too when you joined in as a second gen entrepreneur with, I talked about earning people's trust and respect. Can you share some challenges in this journey of you being an entrepreneur, of you being a CEO? What would be some of the key challenges that you had to face during this journey, and how did you actually overcome them? Maybe a couple of them if you can remember and highlight them just to inspire the audience.
Right. So as I've mentioned earlier, that my biggest challenge when I joined was I had no experience, no knowledge, hands-on knowledge on how to grow the company, how to run the company, even actually not even grow. My first priority was just to run, to survive, and survival was the biggest priority. So the challenge we had was that since I was young, a lot of people did not have trust in me, and we had very high attrition, and we had competitors. As you know, it's like highly competitive, right? So we had competitors who uh, poached on our people, and I remember there was a week where we had 50% of our sales team leaving. So in 1 week, we had 50% of our sales team leaving, and we thought the sales is going to collapse, and we're not going to be able to sell any products. What are we going to do without 50% of our key people? So these were the key people, the heads of states, the zonal heads, so senior sales guys who had been in the market for a long time, and they went to our competitors who had similar products. So we estimated that we're going to lose out on the market share. But what we realized was that later on is what the brand matters, right? So even though the sales team moved on to another company, the customers did not move on,
Yeah.
and the reason was the brand. So we think about that what is it important in a business? It's important to build the brand, because a brand is something that is going to stay with you in the long run and going to stay with you for years and years to come. And it is something that's going to build a competitive advantage. So for anybody, I would recommend work on building a brand, and a brand takes years. So for us, a brand took 20 years to build, but a brand can be destroyed in 20 minutes if you
Yeah.
make the wrong decisions and you give the wrong products to the customers, which are faulty products, and you try to cut corners and you try to make a quick buck and provide low quality products, that can really backfire, and that's something that can spoil your brand. So be highly focused on the brand and how you can build a brand, because a brand is something that's going to survive even beyond the life of entrepreneur. So if you look at great companies like Nike or even other companies like Starbucks, these are all great brands and they're going to survive even after the entrepreneurs out there. So that was one of the challenges, and that was overcome by maintaining the brand, by maintaining the quality and giving the same quality products to customers. And other challenges, so I think that was the biggest challenge for me, where the not having the experience and growing the business. And after gaining experience, after having confidence in myself, I think the other challenges are the day-to-day challenges you face. For example, cash flow, getting your payments from the market. These are the boring challenges compared to the earlier challenges. So, growing the company, and how do you grow, and how do you get your receivables? How do you manage your creditors, your inventory? These are the day-to-day challenges.
Wow.
Hey, I have a question. So, before you jumped into business, in trying times and trying circumstances, you hadn't been in touch with the business. You were obviously in US, so you hadn't been in touch with the business. You didn't know what's happening in the business. So, did you have any mentors who, held your hand in the initial days? Who do you look up to? Who do you ask questions? Where do you go if you don't know something and all of that? So how did because that's a struggle for entrepreneurs. I see that they jump into business. Even when people who start their own business, they really don't know where to go and ask and seek answers. So how did you manage that?
So that's a very good point that you brought up, because that's something that I want to highlight. So I was trying to get people for advice, right? Because I wasn't experienced. I didn't know what to do. So I was trying to reach out to people for advice. And I found people who were not in the same boat as me, as people who were not running companies or running businesses. They couldn't understand the challenges that we were facing in terms of legal challenges and in terms of operational challenges. So I was very fortunate that I could reach out to someone in my family, and this person was running a company and is still running a company, which is a huge company. And he really guided me. So he guided me with legal help. So, how to, we had challenges, for example, with our partner, as it happens in all companies in India. I would say most companies, they say, "Ghar ghar ki kahani," right? So it's very common that that when a founder goes away, their partners want their control, etc. So he guided me on how, being a majority shareholder, how we could protect our interest, etc. And he guided me a lot on recruitment, because earlier I did not have the experience, the know-how, the insights on how to recruit people, right? So when you're recruiting senior people, it requires a lot of knowledge about assessing people, right? So because you just have half an hour with that person, and how do you judge that you're making the right call? Because a senior person can make a big difference in a company. So in the beginning, whenever I had to do recruitments of senior people like vice president and the level above, I used to always involve him, and I was surprised. Like his judgment used to be absolutely right on, and like 10 minutes he used to spend with a person, and he could read through them. And I was like, how do you do this? You can just read through a person in 10 minutes. Because after what he told me, and after a year, I realized it was absolutely true after working with that person. But during the interview, I couldn't tell what he could see. So he just said, it's nothing. It just comes with experience. And today I feel that's true, because when I also meet people, interview people, I just need 10 minutes, 15 minutes with them to make a decision, and that's it. So it's just something that comes with experience. I think now over the last 15 years, I must have done 1,000 interviews. So practice makes perfect, right? So just making interviews, hiring people, learning from your failures, learning from the wrong decisions you made is important. So that's how I've learned, and also learning from the right decisions you made. So now I realize that experience is important, and having a mentor, your point coming back to that, is extremely important when you don't have experience. So if you're a startup or you're just starting up in your business, you need a mentor, definitely. And I needed one, and I was very fortunate that it happened with the right way with me.
Absolutely. So, good advice. I'm going to put that as a hashtag. Everybody needs a mentor. This is very important for all entrepreneurs. You should look out for mentors. Do not struggle alone. And I think that's a huge, huge learning anybody can take from that. Sandeep, over to you. Mute, Sandeep, you're on mute. You forgot.
Sorry. Yep. I was saying that you talked about some of your low points. Let's look at some of your successes. Any success or any big mega success that you're extremely proud of and you want to share to the people tuning in.
So I look back. So in the last 15 years, I think the two biggest success that I've achieved is that I've increased employment from 90 to 170 people. So I think that's a big success where you're helping to create employment, and when you're creating employment, you're indirectly helping the economy, you're helping the country to grow. And the other success I would be like, I've grown the revenue of the company 3.3 times. So it's been a growth journey so far. That's a success. And the personal success is that because I was so curious to learn new things, new knowledge, new skills, where I took courses in IIM Ahmedabad or Bombay Management Association, Bombay Chamber of Commerce. And because of that, I earlier I used to take part in these events, and now they invite me as a speaker to these events. So I feel that's something that is honorary because I'm not paying money for that, or it's not my decision. Somebody else is making that decision based on what I've achieved. And that's really important as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, you don't have a boss. You're your own boss. So nobody's going to pat your back and tell you you're doing a good job, right? Because when you're a boss, the boss will always tell you, yes, you're doing a good job and you feel good about it. But when you're your own boss, and as it said, it's lonely on the top, because there's nobody else with you who's going to tell you you did well, or etc. So when these kind of opportunities come up for me and I'm invited to give a talk on business, different business challenges, different business topics, business future of the business, that's when I feel, okay, I've achieved something. And that's my applause I feel I'm getting for the thought leadership that I've earned through the years.
Got it. Yeah. So can we just acknowledge a few people, Sanjay? I've opened about 3 windows. Let me see if I can cover all of them. So, Martin Lopez, thank you for joining in. Please put in 2 hashtags. Everybody needs a mentor and stay curious. Thank you for doing that. Amar, thank you. Piraj, Jitesh, Kavi, thank you for being here. Nirmala Mukhi, Kavi says to you, Abhinav, you're already inspired. You're a rock star. Arundhati says, me too. Piraj says it's a good idea to have it on a personal handle. So that's 1 window done. Let me see if I can find more. Yeah, Rasika is here. Rasika, thank you for joining in. She says, awesome. So I mean, I think Sanjay, we can do this once a week at least on personal handles. This works. This works. This is also our strategy to see how do we get more people to actually look at the kind of content that we want to share to the world. And today is an example of that.
Also, we have Vijay Shukla coming as well. So hello, Vijay, and nice if you join in.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Abhinav, now I think one of my second last question is when Corona happened, when the pandemic hit, when COVID happened, did it actually impact your business, and what are some of the strategies that you deployed to get over it, and how's it going so far?
So Corona has impacted every business, I feel, and a lot of people feel that, oh, you're in healthcare, so you're lucky, but that's not the case. Even our customers was shut during the lockdown. So our customers' business came down by 80% in March, April, and it's still down to about 60%. So everybody was affected. Even if you look at the path labs that are even doing the COVID testing, we don't do the COVID test. But you might think, oh, labs are doing the COVID testing, right? Look at them, they have so much business. But there's a price cap that's been put by the government. So it's not that the labs are, making huge margins on it. Because of the price cap and the cost of doing a test, you need personal protective equipment, you need all kinds of handling safety procedures. So everybody has been affected. But there's a very popular saying that you got to make advantage of the change. So if you look at the business models, people have adapted, and the people who adapt are the people who survive, right? So the strongest species in the world is the cockroach. It survived through millions of years because it adapts. It can survive an earthquake, a nuclear blast, cold temperatures, hot temperatures, because it survives. So business also that adapts and survive. So if you look at the companies that have survived and actually have done well in the pandemic, I would say other companies that have changed and adapted. So I will give you examples of companies that have done that. So Raymond's, we all know, is known for the suits and the t-shirts and the formal wear, and that business came down as people started working from home, so they didn't need formal clothes. So Raymond's diversified into making masks, into making designer masks of different types, different cloth, etc., because they saw a big need coming in there. So Raymond adapted. Then you look at Bata, right? Bata shoes, hush puppies. People love to wear them at work, and Bata saw the sales drop. But they started adapting by selling more slippers, and they started selling in vans. Had these vans that used to go out in the market, and they used to sell because the customers didn't want to go to the showroom and they prefer an open environment to sell. So Bata adapted. Then you look at the automobile companies, right? They saw the business dropping down, and what did they do? They adapted by making ventilators. So textile companies getting into making masks, automobile companies getting into making ventilators. And we also saw that this change is coming. So we also adapted our business and we launched sanitizers because it's a pretty similar manufacturing process of making our existing products. And we saw that, okay, there's a gap in the market. There's a huge demand. People are going to start using sanitizers. It's going to become a habit. So we diversified and got into hand sanitizers, which were not very different. So we didn't need a lot of capex for it, and the OPEX wasn't much because we just had to scale it up as per the demand. So we diversified into hand sanitizers, and that resulted in 20% of our sales till date. So
Okay.
if we had not done that, we would have lost out to 20% of our sales. So hand sanitizer, mask, face shield, infrared thermometers, and recently we have just started pulse oximeters because there's a huge demand for pulse oximeters, and pulse oximeters is something that you need it at home so that you can monitor your oxygen levels, and it will tell you before you fall too sick, before you start feeling the symptoms of your lungs working hard, you can go to the hospital. And we just launched pulse oximeters recently, and it has sold out even before we have got the stocks. So you
Got
can
it.
see that you have to adapt your business model and to the external environment. Otherwise, you will become extinct, and it's only the cockroach that survives because it adapts.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. A couple of Ninad has joined in. So he says peer recognition is important. Your credibility is when you get invited, when you get called for talks. So yeah, that's a thumbs up to you, Abhinav, that people are calling you. See, it's not an easy feat running a company which has been there in the market for close to 40 years now. And you carrying on the legacy of your father, and growing the employee base, handling about 250 plus employees, and the challenges that come along with it. We can talk about for hours and hours if you want to, but if we at the end, before we sign off, if you had to give some piece of advice to entrepreneurs or people who actually want to start out and create their own business, what are some of the things that you think they should keep in mind, or be aware of? Any advice that you want to give to the budding entrepreneurs?
So the first thing before you put a business out physically, it starts mentally. So you need to have a very clear plan and a very focused plan. And there's this story of the two best entrepreneurs in the world who are my role models, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And I love this story. So one day, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were having dinner together with their families. And Bill Gates' father went up to them and said that, write me a note. I'm giving you a blank paper and write me a note. What is the one single factor that has made you such a successful entrepreneur? And they both wrote it on the paper. Each didn't know what the other one was writing. And they gave it back to his father. And then his father opened it up and they wrote the same word. So
Which
they wrote
was
focus.
focus. Okay.
Focus. Focus is something I believe is extremely important in entrepreneurship, and that's something I'm working on, because in today's addiction to distraction of having these mobile phones with the WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, there's so much distraction that it's hard to keep focus and you end up losing your focus. So I think focus is the number one thing, because I've seen results when I focus on my business. So I think focus is the most important quality characteristic of any successful entrepreneur.
Thank you for sharing that, Abhinav. I think we've got a question, right? Are you monitoring that?
I am unable to see.
All right. Abhinav, Martin Lopez has a question for you. He says, what market needs do you see will open up post-COVID?
Yeah.
So post-COVID is going, the market needs are going to open up, going to be digital. It's going to be driven by digitalization. Already you are seeing that digital payments have gone up, digital services have gone up, because people are going to be afraid to go and have physical contact. So I'm going to see all kind of businesses related to digitalization is going to go up. Digital sales is going to be a growth driver. Sales through Flipkart, Amazon. The highest profit making company is the highest growth during the pandemic was Amazon. 40% growth, unbelievable, when people are degrowing. Again, it's related to digital technology. So these are the kind of things which are going to be opportunities during COVID and post-COVID.
Got it. In fact, we during our interactions with the audience in our previous sessions, we've always been a huge advocate of technology if you want to achieve scale. And I think what Abhinav also said kind of resonates with what we've been saying in our previous sessions. In fact, Abhinav, I believe you are also creating or working on a technology where you can monitor and forecast sales with geotag fencing, etc., etc. I believe that's going to be there. It's in the pipeline. It's going to be there, rolling out in the next year or so. So that's a lot of advancement, and it's going to be a breakthrough. Uh, Breakthrough technology for you as well, because I don't think anybody in the diagnostic space is doing that.
Yes. So there's this concept called contactless service. Right? So you can do IoT, Internet of Things. You can monitor these complicated analyzers, instruments which are placed in the laboratory. So you can predict the breakdown. It can be preventive maintenance. So you don't need to go there during the breakdown. We can predict the breakdown in advance, and you can solve the problem through technology by being connected through IoT, Internet of Things. And this will reduce the TAT. TAT is a word that we use in industry, is called turnaround time, TAT. That means how fast can you solve the complaint. So what is your TAT? So if we have a lower TAT, we have a higher customer satisfaction. We have higher customer satisfaction. We have higher sales. So it all starts with service, and that is the TAT, what we call it, the TAT, turnaround time.
Wow. I think that's going to be a game changer whenever it's implemented, Abhinav. Uh, uh, from Sanjay and my behalf, thank you for taking out your time and being here. It was, I'm sure people have learned a lot. They've been inspired by our sharing. And guys, if you're watching this on either mine or Sanjay's handle, this is a one-off event. It doesn't happen very, very regularly. It's just an experiment that we're running right now. If you really want to see all the content that we've put up, you should join our group. I'm just putting it in the comment section, which is Business Growth Mastermind. I just did that right now. And there's a lot of content that we've been putting up over the last few months. It's a community of entrepreneurs where we pay it forward and make it a safe space for entrepreneurs to come, talk, and share. Abhinav also is a part of this group, and we've been, not to blow our own horn, we've been doing a good job, of sharing content. Sanjay, anything that you want to add?
I'm completely fine. And, Abhinav, this was really an inspirational interview. I learned so much. I've been taking some notes as you were speaking, some of the points that I think all the entrepreneurs need to understand. In the future, when I'm talking about those points, I'm going to refer back to this conversation so people can really connect, listen to what they have to say. Thank you very much for being so open, so honest, and so genuine in sharing.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Abhinav. We shall see you on Monday. There is a special announcement that we're going to make. You be sure that you tune in at 5 p.m. It's a huge giveaway that we're going to share to the people of the community in our private Business Growth Mastermind Facebook group. So make sure to be there at 5 p.m., guys. All right. Take care. Stay safe. Be healthy. Have a safe weekend, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks, Abhinav.